not in a friendly way, although I think we're great friends, and not in a misplaced affection.
Jesus Christ, they just got my fucking... Behind you.
I got you.
No, you got me.
Check this side. Yeah, they're hitting somewhere.
Is it from the left?
North. They're hitting it from the north.
Car coming from the west.
Where's that one of us?
Stay on the west side.
Dead on west. Alright. So, let's get into the actual build itself. Let me explain everything to you. So, we're using the Wildfire, obviously. And what that is a Bullseye weapon. Everybody should know what Bullseye is. If you don't know, go to keyword down here, hit X, bam, everything's explained. So Bullseye, when you shoot the enemies, you mark them. There's an outline, you have wall hacks basically. You can do more damage, blah, blah, blah. It's explained in the keyword. 60% chance to trigger the Bullseye, 80% chance to spread the bullseye to one enemy within a 15 meter area. This mod works perfectly with that. Marked enemies damage versus metas minus 20%. Even without that, even without the 80% spreading, this is still good because as long as you're marking somebody, they do less damage to you. It's a damage reduction basically. So when it comes to when you're fighting a player and then you mark them, you also have the 80% chance to spread the mark to another player around you. So if you're in a 1v2 or 1v3 situation, pretty much everybody around you is going to be doing less damage towards you. That makes you tankier. What you're going to want on your substats, and that's for all the mods that we're looking at today in this build, is going to be weak spot. You always want weak spot suffix. Always. You're also going to want max HP and weapon damage reduction. And then another mod you're going to want to look for, which is probably the second most important, besides the suffix, will be weapon damage. On the sniper, we're going something different. The bullseye adds vulnerability. Vulnerability amplifier. A lot of people like to use, if you go over here, a lot of people like to use Hunter's perk on it too to make themselves tankier. I have another one. I used to do the same, but I changed over to the vulnerability so you can do more damage. When you're using a sniper, you're either going to be at long, mid-ish range, and what you're going to be doing is you're going to try to 1 to 2 tap people, especially with the bingo. So why go for a Hunter's perk to make yourself more tankier when you could just go full damage, do as much damage as possible, just drop the person that you're trying to shoot. So that's why I'm using vulnerability for that 8% to make the enemy take more damage when I shoot them. Got a weak spot, weapon damage reduction, and weapon damage. Perfect roll. For the calibrations, go rapid shot style, double weak spot. And then for your sniper, rapid shot style, the bolt pulling speed, double weak spot. A lot of people like to go full weak spot and then 2-tap people, but then they're not tanky. We switched up the mods here, so you need that extra weak spot on your calibrations. What we're using for our helmet, momentum up. Fire rate plus 10% for the first 50% of the magazine, and weapon damage plus 30% for the next 50% of the magazine. Weapon damage, that's the important thing here. You're getting 30% weapon damage on the last half of your magazine, okay? And then the fire rate is also an important thing because what I found an issue was in the first half of the montage, you can see when I was shooting people, I was shooting a little slow, right? Like I was doing high damage, but the problem is not really my damage because it's bullseye. You're automatically gonna hit weak spots of people. So if I run my ass back over to my house, if I get over here and I shoot the dummy, as you can see within the first half of the magazine, I'm already doing high damage. Like you're gonna hit weak spot shots, so you're gonna do high damage. So my thing is also when you're also looking at your profile, always crouch. That way your character is always holding their gun so they know what damage they're doing, because your stats change if you're not holding your gun. So my thing was I was always doing damage, but I wasn't doing enough DPS. So if we go to the other mod for my other build, which most people use right here, Precise Strike, hitting a weak spot grants weak spot damage plus 12% for 3 seconds. If I can step up to 3 times, that's a lot of weak spot, right? That's a lot of damage. It be, yeah, you're gonna do a lot of damage. But look at the DPS. The DPS is a lot lower and you're shooting a lot slower. Yes, at the end of the day, you're gonna be doing a higher amount of damage on average, and your total is gonna be way higher. But your DPS is not gonna be there. When it comes to PvP and you're fighting somebody head on, whoever gets the first few shots off with the right amount of damage wins the fight. So you need that extra fire rate. And then as the fight drags on, you're gonna need that extra weapon damage to finish the person off, basically. So, as you can see there, we're doing similar amounts of damage, but we're also doing way more DPS. But our total damage will be a little bit less. So, for my substats, I got max HP, weapon damage, good, but then I got crit damage. I need to redo this. I gotta get better substats. I didn't get the right suffix. On to the mask. Most wanted. Every time an enemy is marked, attack plus 5% for 8 seconds. You need weapon damage. Attack is basically, you know, it's different for weapon damage, but attack is attack. You need a different multiplier. So the thing is, if you go full weak spot damage on all like your mods and your substats and everything, you're gonna do less damage than if you split up and go attack or weapon damage and then weak spot. So you need to balance out your stats. So that's why weapon damage, gold right here, perfect. Weak spot, or weapon damage reduction to be more tanky, and then weak spot right here. Now we're going into our tanky mods, starting with the chest. We have resist advantage. This mod will prevent you from getting 2-tapped. So obviously everybody knows when a bingo user starts shooting with their sniper, bam, they shoot you for white damage. I did a crit right there. Bam, they shoot you again for a weak spot damage. That's a 2-tap. Anybody right there would have been 2-tap. 32,000 damage, you're dead. So a lot of bingo users, that's why they focus weak spot, and then they just go pure damage and they don't go tankiness. They just try to 2-shot everybody. Here, we don't do that here. We don't do that. Resist advantage, when out of combat, gain 1 stack of 10% damage reduction for every 5 seconds. If I can stack up to 5 times. That is 50% damage reduction. And as you go to my substats, you guys can see, or my profile stats, 50% damage reduction right here. So when a bingo user shoots me, 50%, bam. And then they shoot me again, 40%, bam. They're not 2-tapping. They can't 2-tap because the first shot, 50%, it goes down to 40%. They shoot me again, it goes down to 30%. So a 40% damage reduction on their shots on me, they're not 2-tapping you. And then on top of that, you have the weapon damage reduction stacked, and then you have, obviously, if you mark them, bam, damage reduction. And then, as you know, we're tanky, so we have max HP. If I pull out my Wildfire, we have almost 20k. That damage reduction is pretty useless. It's a bad roll. I gotta re-roll this. I've been struggling to get a good resistant advantage. I don't know why, but I've been struggling really badly. So ideally, I would want weak spot damage, weapon damage reduction, max HP, or a weapon damage. On to the pants. Life Force Boost. Life Force Boost gives you 12% HP. On the pants, a lot of people use this. Unstoppable. Don't use this. This is fucking terrible. Awful. God awful. Weak spot damage plus 20% when a bullet hits the target more than 20 meters away. For every additional 1 meter away from the target, weak spot damage plus 1% up to 20%. So that's a 40% increase if you're 40 meters away, I believe. And then if you're only 20 meters away, you get a 20% increase. This is a conditional mod. Conditional means you have to meet certain conditions to trigger the you have to meet certain conditions to trigger the stat effect. So to get that 20% weak spot damage, you have to be 20 meters away. So if you go trigger on a dummy, my dummy's invisible. Okay. So if I trigger like this, that's 4 meters, 10 meters, blah 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 blah. So right here, this is 20 meters away. Okay, this isn't a decent amount, but when it comes to actual fights, and you saw in the video most of my fights, yes, there will be people that you fight 20 meters away. But a lot of the times, especially if you're a Wildfire, you're using the pistol, you're gonna be like 10 meters away, maybe 15. You're not getting that percent. So if you're using a Wildfire build, that mod is basically useless. This mod is useless. And what a lot of people have been using recently that I've seen is that some people are using this, Bullet Siphon, weapon damage plus 5%. Every 5 bullets consumed in a magazine costs grants plus 4% weapon damage, capped at 20%. This is another conditional mod. You have to shoot bullets, obviously, to gain that weapon damage. So, I mean, it's not bad, though. It is a good alternative. So the more bullets you shoot, the more damage you do. For me, I aim to kill the person within the first few bullets. And if I can't, then by the time like I'm at the end of my magazine, they should be dead. Or I can switch to the sniper and finish them off. But this only adds this damage towards the end. So you have 2 choices. You can either go a blue weak spot mod to give you 15% weak spot, and then get a substat that gives you weak spot damage 5% if you're lucky and you upgrade it, and then you get the 5%. Bam, that's 20.4% weak spot damage that you get from this. What is that? The same as this one, but there's no condition. You always get that 20%, so you don't have to be 20 meters away. This is better than this, even if you want to like have this like little playstyle where you're always 20 meters away. This is still better because it's permanent. So even if something happens where like you're closer than 20 meters, you always get this 20%. This is perfect. So you can go with damage or you could go with tankiness. But for this build to play how like I play and be tanky, you gotta have the Life Force Boost. Here, this is the wrong mod. This is an okay mod to have for the build, but it's the wrong one. Weak spot damage plus 25% weak spot damage boost. I got weak spot substat, weapon damage, and then max HP. The better mod to use is this right here. Munitions amplifier. Weapon damage, as I said earlier, is important. You need to balance out your stats. So go full suffixes on for your weak spot, and then get these different types of mods. For this one, I don't have a good munitions amplifier at all. I mean, this is my best one, weak spot and then max HP. This is terrible, and I'm not even upgrading it anymore because it's already so bad. So what I'm doing is I'm using my weak spot damage boost instead, because I have weak spot, weapon damage, and max HP on it. On the boots, taking no damage within 4 seconds grants plus 20% melee, weapon, and status damage for 30 seconds. The effects resets when the duration ends. So basically, as long as you just don't take damage every 30 seconds, you'll have this buff. And every time you get into a fight from the beginning, you'll have this buff. And then for a majority of fights happens within like the first, within 5 to 10 seconds. So this is good enough, like that duration, 30 seconds. You're always gonna have this buff. Oh, it's 20% weapon damage basically. It says weapon right here. So 20%. That's good. Weak spot, weapon damage reduction, max HP. Perfect. Now we're gonna go into the lesser important things, but you need all of these things to complete the build. This build won't work properly. No build will work properly if you don't have everything that you need. So what we're gonna get into is our gears. Obviously, we already went over the Wildfire and the Bingo and the calibrations on it, but we're using a 4-piece savior set. Obviously, for the 3-piece, you get the activator being automatically used, so you don't have to use it yourself for every 40 seconds as long as you lose below 30% HP. But we have a lot of HP and we're very tanky, so it doesn't happen as often as it happens to other people, so we don't require ourselves to heal as much. We need the 4-piece. The 4-piece is a must, and I suggest it for every build that you use in PvP to have a 4-piece. Don't settle with 3-piece. The 4-piece is the most important part. I think it's more important than the 3-piece. You get a movement speed plus 20%, and then you get all damage plus 20%. That's more damage added on to what we already have. So when you use an activator, so if we go here, let's look at our damage right now. Okay, that's nice damage. So when we use an activator, like it says on the 4-piece, we should be getting a 20% increase. That was so much more damage already. We went up like 1,000 more. So on top of that, you get a 20% damage reduction on torso and limbs for 20 seconds. You have to have the 4-piece. For every build, if you use Surge, Jaws, Bullseye, any build, go with 4-piece Savior until they nerf this shit, because it is OP. For our gloves, and the last build, I believe I used the Shelterer. Unless I changed it last minute with the video, but I think I used the Shelterer last video for the 15% status damage reduction. Since we are using a HP build, we went with heavy duty purple gloves, and we 5-starred it. And as you can see here, it gives you a 10% HP bonus. 6-star Old Huntsman boots. I have my boots maxed out. They're 6-star. And the Old Huntsman boots is what it does is after triggering the Bullseye, the next one bullet hitting a marked target will count as a weak spot hit, even if they do not hit the weak spot. So basically, as you guys saw earlier, I shoot people, and then I shoot again. You see, red damage means weak spot. That's because that means you're shooting them in the head. The dummy is invisible, so you can't see it. But with Bullseye, when you shoot a person, as you saw in the montage, I'll shoot people, and then they have like a blue outline. That means they're marked. And then I shoot them again, like this, and I'm hitting red damage even though I'm not hitting them in the head. For the melee, it's your preference. You can use the frozen pike or whatever it's called to freeze people if you're a weirdo and you like to fucking troll people. You like to cheese. I like to use stun baton for the movement. I have movement speed for the calibration, so I can run faster. Medic cradle. We are using the handgun enhancement for damage plus 20%. Using long range enhancement because we use the sniper, so damage plus 20% on the sniper. Sprint, move speed plus 5%, and then running stamina cost minus 15%, so we can have more move speed. We can move around faster, jump around and everything. Tactical combo, weapon damage plus 25% for 4 seconds after switching weapons or reloading. Jump and glide speed plus 50% and damage reduction plus 10% while jumping and gliding, sky operation. The advantage barrier, this completes the build. To be tanky, this completes it. Hitting weak spots or reloading grants a shield equal to 30% of the max HP. While the shield is active, weapon damage reduction plus 15%. Makes you completely tanky, and it gives you an overshield. So with my build, I'm getting like fucking 5,000 to 7,000 extra hit points on my character as an overshield, and then 50% weapon damage reduction on top of that. Side by side, when fighting in a team, armor durability loss speed minus 25% and teammate rescue speed plus 35%. This is purely just a team support thing. During wars and everything in the hard mode server, you die a lot, so this makes it so you can stay in the fight more instead of going back to your base and wasting a minute to repair your stuff. So it gives you more durability basically, and you can rescue teammates that are not, if it's possible, in the middle of a fight. And then we come to down here, steady hand. While in Fortress Warfare or Fast Gunner status, weak spot damage plus 40%, weak spot damage to the Bullseye plus 20%. A lot of people think you must be in Fortress Warfare or Fast Gunner to get that weak spot extra percent, but no. The Bullseye part, that last strip, is a mistranslation thing. They didn't really explain it well, I guess. You always get that weak spot damage plus 20% on the Bullseye. Always. You don't have to have Fast Gunner or Fortress Warfare triggered. So this is a permanent thing as long as they're marked and they have the Bullseye marked. 20k HP. This is my damage. As you guys can see, 5-star Wildfire. I have a 4-star Bingo. I can 5-star it, I believe. Oh, it is 5-star. Yeah, I have a 5-star Bullseye Bingo, but I don't have it crafted. I need a better calibration. I don't have any calibrations for my sniper. But yeah, we're currently using a 4-star, but we have a 5-star in the works. You guys saw the armors, the stars earlier. These are my stars. I can 5 or 6-star my Savior top. I just haven't yet. These are the percents. Weak spot 151. Over damage bonus 64. My fire rate, that's important, 256. HP, we already talked about that. Damage reduction 50%, weapon damage reduction 28.2%, head damage reduction 9.6%, torso damage reduction 2%. Putting out my sniper. 3,000 damage right here, basically. A little bit less HP. 185% weak spot damage. Weapon damage bonus 69%. And as we scroll, this is all of it. Fire rate is 44. And then we're a little bit more tanky. 1% more tanky. That's it for this video, so make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions. Make sure to share the video so people can get this around, get this build going. It's really good. Super tanky, does the damage, can 2-tap people still. Join the Discord, that's in the description. And that's it for this video, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed. Have a good day.